Hey there, I'm Ari from the Tech Buyers Guru, and I'm here with an exclusive, the world's first preview of the SilverStone LD03 Mini-ITX high-performance PC chassis. This was revealed at CES in 2019. Earlier in 2019, I was there to report on it. It just hit US shores a couple of weeks ago. I believe this may be the very first sample. SilverStone was kind enough to send it to me for a review. I'm going to be actually just previewing the case in this video, and then following up with a second video where I go through the whole build process and then go over performance as well. So I will be giving you a quick tour of this case in just a minute. Before I do that, I want to go over the parts that are going to be going into this system. So starting on this side, we have the AMD Ryzen 2700X 8-core processor. I'm going to be liquid cooling this CPU with Corsair's H60 120mm liquid cooler. I also have a GTX 1080 Ti graphics card, pretty high performance video card. It is a last gen. The reason I'm using this one is that it is also liquid cooled. Here's the 120mm radiator for that card. And I really wanted to have dual liquid cooled components in this case because SilverStone specially designed this case for ultra high performance gaming. And it's one of the only ITX, if not the only ITX chassis in fact, that has space for dual radiators. While still being a 25-liter case. So that's really the cutoff. I view it as kind of small form factor. There are huge ITX cases that can fit dual radiators, but from my point of view, they don't really belong in the ITX or a small form factor category because they're just too big. This is 25 liters. That's my cutoff for small form factor, and it can fit 2 radiators. So I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to see how that works. Also on the build list, the 970 Pro from Samsung, of course the best solid-state drive you can get in the M.2 form factor. Then I have this SilverStone SFXL power supply. Again, thank you to SilverStone for providing this sample. This is their 800 watt titanium. It's the very best SFXL power supply you can get. And over here, I've got the B450i Aorus Pro Wi-Fi motherboard from Gigabyte, which I picked up just for this review because I did not have any ITX motherboards for my AMD processor. And then I've got some Sniper RAM. That RAM runs at DDR4 3400 speeds, and it is designed specifically for AMD Ryzen and the AM4 socket. It works perfectly. I've used it before with Ryzen. A lot of memory actually isn't really compatible at such a high speed, but this RAM will work at 3400 megahertz, which is great. So that's going to be the whole build. So now let me clear off the bench here and give you a tour inside this case so you can kind of get a preview of what's to come when I get to the build process. I'll be back in a second. All right, I'm back with the LD03. This is, like I said, the world exclusive. This has just hit the market in the US. And this is really designed as a high-performance ITX chassis. I think SilverStone would view this kind of as a successor to their old Fortress FT03. It's been a while since that case was introduced. And in fact, it's actually been a while since SilverStone has released a high-performance small form factor chassis. So that's why I'm really excited about this. There aren't a lot of high performance ITX chassis hitting the market, and there are only a few manufacturers that can really do it right. SilverStone has proven in the past that it can do a really great job with chassis like this. So let's see what we have on offer. Well, first, what's different for SilverStone, but what's very common today in the industry, of course, is tempered glass. You've got 3 tempered glass panels on here. Now, when this system's fully built up and lit up inside, you'll be able to tell more that it's actually glass. But we do have 3 glass panels. On the top, there is ventilation. This is an inverted design, so it actually is rotated 90 degrees. So all your cables actually come out the top. And I'll turn this around. The cables actually come out the back of the chassis right up here. So you'll have kind of a bundle of cables coming out there. That is a kind of a SilverStone exclusive design. They've used it many times before in their Fortress and Raven series, so this takes after that, but is technically in their Lucid series, the LD series, and I think Lucid was designed or intended to be their kind of glass series, although I hear from SilverStone they're going to be changing that up again. So this may be the last LD chassis there that SilverStone releases. Now, to get the front panel off, it actually just pops off like a regular glass panel. Let's see, like a regular chassis panel. Here we go. There we go. Actually pretty easy to do. It doesn't have any pull handles, which is why I was having a little trouble with that. But here's your glass. It's cool. It's actually a glass panel attached to a plastic frame. So that's pretty cool. You get the ventilation on top and on bottom. Of course, the glass is solid, so you don't have ventilation through that. Inside you have a small parts bag. Yeah. Got some zip ties. You got extra push pins. They have this really cool system here. Push pins to allow you to get these glass panels right off. Look at that. It slides right off, and the push pin is actually a captured push pin, which I've never seen before. I think that that's kind of a new design from SilverStone. See, these glass panels come right off to give you excellent access to the chassis. So when you have all three panels off, you've got a lot of ability to get inside this chassis. Here you can see, I believe these are trays for your 2.5-inch drives. This is your power supply mount, so you're going to be mounting the power supply on its side here, like that. Inside the chassis you have two 120mm fans, one on top, one on the bottom. I'll be using neither of those, since I'm actually going to be filling this up with radiators. Alright, so I'm going to be removing these fans. From the looks of it, these are just standard 120mm fans. They're not the penetrator fans that have the directed air channeling. So it's fine. I think they work fine. Like I said, I'm actually not going to be using these because I will have radiators mounted top and bottom. Probably going to have the GPU radiator mounted down here and the CPU radiator mounted up here. So you know, looking inside, it's pretty simple. Of course, it's an ITX chassis, so it's pretty compact. It's also fairly lightweight, especially once I remove all the glass panels. It slides right off. It's a pretty simple chassis. Oh, of course the top comes off too. Now, I did do this beforehand. It's a little bit tricky. You have to push in these two buttons and pull at the same time. That's a really kind of awkward thing. I know that, you know, probably SilverStone did its best to do something unique here, but I feel like that's a little, you have to push these buttons and pull at the same time. It's like you need 3 hands. And also you're pushing in and pulling on it doesn't exactly make sense. Anyway, that's how you get access. You'll have your I/O panel back here. Your graphics card will vent out the top. Alright, and that's going to be the only ventilation, the only exhaust for this for the graphics card. So open air fans won't work that well. Now, you know, a lot of cards these days have dual fan or maybe even triple fan. Don't know the full length of what this can take. I think it's maybe 12-inch cards this way. But if you had 3 fans lined up here, guess what's going to be right against them? This glass panel. They will, a standard video card with an open air design is going to get suffocated in this case. All right? You're going to have your video cards pretty much just right up against this panel. Hard to put on sideways from the side, sorry. There we go. So there is a little bit of space in between the panel and where the video card sits, but it's only about 1/2 inch. So honestly, as cool as this case is, it will have some limitations with standard video cards. That's why I went with a hybrid model, a liquid cooled model that actually has a radial fan that actually blows out air out the top, and of course has a radiator that's going to be blowing out of the case as well. Like I said, I probably will have the radiator down here just because the CPU is going to be here, but it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, which radiator you put on top or bottom. One of them is going to have to be on the bottom. So I think that's pretty much all I wanted to show you in this preview of the case. It should be fun to build in this case because it's quite open, easy access to all the parts. I really like that. A lot of ITX cases are really challenging to build in because, you know, there's not a lot of access from different directions. But this should be pretty easy to build in. I'm really, you know, excited to build in this. It doesn't look like it's going to be that hard. So that's it. If you have any questions, post them down below. Look for the next video in this series where I'm going to be actually walking through the assembly of this system with the parts I showed you before. And then I'll also go into the performance of it. So until then, I'm Ari from Tech Buyers Guru. If you like this video, please do like and subscribe, and I will catch you next time.